Hello, everybody. Buddy Way of Midland, Texas. I'm going to do another video in the attic investigations series. I've done several of these already, and basically I'm going in and looking at other homes where the homeowner had reported somebody in the attic. And today this video is going to be about Odessa, Texas. I'm going to look at 4 different homes, and that's not all of them. Real quickly, I'm going to run through them so it won't be too long. That's not even all of them. I think you're going to find this video amazing as well. And so I got a short read. I'm going to start with, on January 2011, I called the police and I reported hearing somebody in my attic. A year later, on January 2012, I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic. At this time, all I had was this crazy story of burglar alarms going off in my attic when somebody under my home shoots me by surprise, but that isn't the case anymore. Besides finding irrefutable evidence showing that I wasn't shot with my gun, as had been falsely claimed, I've also documented multiple people saying that tunnels and bunkers are near my home. In addition, homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and many other states have been reporting these same unique crimes of people in the attic. I've been contacted by people in California, Oregon, Arkansas, and Alabama, to name just a few. New Mexico as well. This video is about 4 homes in Odessa, but there are others over there that I know of, and I'm sure many that I don't know of too. Odessa is about 20 miles from Midland, and so it's real close to here. I believe that all of these rigged homes are connected with a common human trafficking crime ring representing tens of thousands of burglaries, thefts, and murders. It's widespread racketeering, and sometimes it includes some corrupt police and corrupt public officials. My guess is that most of these homes has a tunnel going to it from a nearby neighbor, so I investigated the past owners to see if I could find some clues. This should be very helpful for law enforcement in their investigation to stop this very dangerous and violent gang of criminals who have been rigging private homes with hidden access. No accusations are made, as this informational video is just asking questions and trying to make our community safer. Okay. Making our community safer for all of us. Here are some other attic investigation videos, which would also include suspected tunnels. And the one I left off my list here, I'll add it here in a minute, was the very last one I did was in Carlsbad, and that was real popular. That had over 600 views and still going. But there's Sunset Circle in Hobbs, New Mexico, 3309 Haynes in Midland, 4619 Story in Midland, 300 Hickory in Midland, 2505 Dartmouth in Midland, 332222 Providence in Midland. Another video, I got people in the attic, and that shows some of the ones from the out-of-state ones. I did a video on the Simpson murder-suicide home investigation on Crenshaw. Maybe that home is also rigged, and possibly that secret police that went on to murder his wife and kill himself. Maybe that was a double murder. Maybe secret police silenced him, And so that's interesting. Tunnel entrances at my home. That's another video talking about my home here, where I reported people in the attic, and then I was ambushed and shot. And then it's one on the bottom. He thought people were breaking into his Hobbs home. And that's a story about the home I lived in Hobbs for 16 years before I was transferred to Midland in 2008 as a 25-year company man with DCP Midstream. And looking back, my daughter noticed a light was on in the attic back in 2002. And I'm suspecting that home was also rigged. And so this video, though, is about the Odessa homes, okay? And not all of them, just like I said, I picked out 4 of them, and I went through. Here's a short list, that I always show. That's not all of them. I mean, a lot of these are I just happened to hear over my police scanner. And notice all the ones in Odessa, because Odessa's 20 miles away. I could pick up their police scanner, but I can no longer do that. Once I started recording these calls of the police dispatching people in the attic, Odessa went and changed their police scanner frequencies and encrypted them. Now nobody in Odessa can listen to the calls over there. I mean, they have no transparency whatsoever, and a serious accountability problem. But here in Midland, we can still get part of it. Some of these and of the police scanner calls, and a lot of these, that's what they are. Interested in Midland, and that's in one of the videos where I sent a request in for a list of all homeowners who reported something in the attic, and they told me nobody had. The police department said, and that was City Attorney Gates, and the police department said nobody in Midland had ever reported people in the attic, when I had done it myself, and I have the police reports for it. Plus, I was shot, with burglar alarms going off in my attic, and I've got all these other police calls of other homeowners here reporting people in the attic, yet the city of Midland says that no, it's never happened. I haven't requested that same thing from Odessa, but I would like to find out how many people in Odessa have reported people in the attic too. And so it's a short list to work off of. We're going to get started. There's 4 homes here. I'm going to try to be quick because this is going to be a longer video with this much data. I'm going to start with 316 Geneva, and this is a police scanner call. I might need to turn that up. We'll see.
316 Geneva. 316 Geneva. Caller stating that he heard someone in the attic.
Okay, and so what I did here, I went to EctorCAD, and I'm going to show you here. I've got this up. EctorCAD is the appraisal district. Now, I use that here in Midland. MidCAD was a Midland County appraisal district, and I use it also in the other places. And so you just put your address in here. You go to ectorcad.org, and you put the address, the street in there, and it'll list, all the, like this was Geneva, right? So it's going to pull up all the Genevas, and then I just go find that number, and that tells me the deed history. So that's what I'm going to show you real quick here. Okay, so here it is in printable version. The owner's information is Constant Silva, okay, and it shows here, and it would look like the date of that video was 7/20/15, and it looks like Constant Silva had lived there. Now, a lot of these homes, it's very possible that the owner, is a landlord and they're renting it to somebody. So we don't know if this person was there or not. I'm going to pause this because of the phone. I'm back. Sorry about the phone ringing. I had to go check that out. We looked at the address where on what was it, 316 Geneva, that's where the owner or the person at that home had reported something in the attic. Now I'm going to look at the neighbors, okay? And this neighbor here, the add to property location is 314 Geneva, and the owner's Miguel Angel Garcia, okay? But on the deed history, I go back, and it looks like Ramona Rodriguez owned that home in 2016. Of course, Rodriguez is a real common name, but my first question, if Ramona was related to secret police and MPD detective Rosa Rodriguez, who seems to be such a main player in the crimes and definitely in the cover-up of the premeditated murder attempt on my life. She's like one of the main players. So it'd be interesting if that Rodriguez was related to this Midland detective over here that was caught lying on police reports and perjuring herself in court and tampering with the evidence, etc. Okay, so this is the other neighbor on the other side, and it's at 318 Geneva, and it's Reyes Olivas, okay? And I look at the deed history, and it looks like the last date on it was 2016. So whether they own there, live there, or maybe they even rented it, I don't know. We don't know that. They could be the landlord renting it, it's a rent house or whatever. And a lot of this is for law enforcement to take this and start using this data and to stop this crime ring, because there's homes all over the place, Rick. This is Google Maps, okay, and here you just put in the address, go to Google Maps. A lot of people use that. You can see this is the home where it was they reported somebody in the attic, and Constant Silva. There's the neighbor at 314 Geneva, and remember, Ramona Rodriguez looked like the owner back when the call come in for reporting people in the attic. Okay, and here's the other neighbor, Olivas Reyes, or what do we say, Reyes Olivas. Okay, and so that's what I call the block map. Okay, and each of these, that's what I do. This is what I call the sat map. A plane flew over and took a picture, okay? And so here is the 316 Geneva house, and I'm suspecting from one of the neighbors that they dug a tunnel and they went over to this house, or they dug a tunnel from that house and went over there, and that way, and then they rigged that home with the hidden crawl space at the wall, and that allows them to come and go 24/7 without being seen by the owner of the home. Okay, and I think it's the same thing that's going on here, and I think it's all these homes, they're using a common system to do that's my guess, and so that's why I look at the two neighbors, and plus the victim is the person that reported somebody in the attic. They're the crime victim. Okay, but like I said, when you look up the owners, we don't know if it's a rent house or whatever. This is this Google Maps street view picture, and it shows you the home in the middle. That's, once again, that's where they reported people in the attic. That's where the crime victim is. And maybe there's a tunnel coming from this house, or maybe there's a tunnel coming from that house. We don't know that. All we know is law enforcement needs to do some investigating, because this ain't one home or one person. It's as many homes all over the place. We're going to do the next address. This is 610 Jeter over in Odessa.
610 Jeter, cross streets are Rose and Honeysuckle.
625.
625. Looking at the 2010, complaint's going to be a 7-year-old male. Stated he can hear yelling and fighting. His mother's in the attic. He can hear her being assaulted.
All right, and that's an interesting one here, because a little boy is reporting a mother in the attic being assaulted. Okay, now we're going to go look at the ownership again, EctorCAD. Here's the home where it was reported somebody is in the attic. Owners Luis Ibarra and Rosavia Ibarra, and 610 Jeter. And it looks like they've had that home since 1999. So they're longtime owners. Once again, they could be renting that home out. We don't know that. That's for law enforcement to figure out. Here's the two neighbors, the best I can tell. A guy named Manuel Torres, okay? And he has his address is on Coronado, so that's very possibly a rent house right there, and that's the neighbor. But he had owned that since 2013, it looked like. Okay. The other neighbor over here, okay, and this was at 612 Jeter, Lionel and Mary Zertuch, and they look like they've had this since 1996. These are the neighbors, okay, and so then we're going to go look again. This is Google Maps. This and here it is. I don't know how well you can see it because the gray on gray, but this is the home where they reported some in the attic. There's the neighbor. There's a next door neighbor, and I called them out. Okay. Here is the sat map. Anybody can do this. All you do is go to Google Maps, and you can zoom it in closer. Here's the home where they reported somebody in the attic. Crime victim's home here. And here's the two neighbors. And and another thing, besides burglary and theft, I think we should be looking at seeing if anybody died there, and it was reported as an accident or suicide, something like that. And we need to start looking if they're they're rigging these homes actually to murder people, because they cut my phone lines and shot me from point blank range. And just like I've just posted on Facebook, did the person that shoot me, couldn't they just crawled out and left without me knowing? Yes, they could. They chose to stay and kill me. This was premeditated murder. I didn't even know they were under my house. They tried to kill me. Triple Bruce says I wasn't showing my gun. So maybe somebody has been killed in one of these houses, in this house, because this is a street view picture. That's the crime victim's house. Reported somebody in the attic up there. And remember, when you're gone, they have your whole home, okay? Plus, they have access to your computer and everything else. And here's the neighbor. Here's the other neighbor. Maybe there's a tunnel there. Maybe there's a tunnel there. And this one, I usually Google and go to Facebook search for the names, and I found this guy. He wasn't an owner, but that was a real unique name, that Zertuch. Remember, that was one of the neighbors. And I noticed that we had 59 mutual Facebook friends, and them are 59 mutual Facebook friends that never share my story, And so I don't know if that guy's related to the people that own that house. And then I found another Zertuch, Roland here. And we had 32 mutual friends, and like I said, he's from Midland here. That's where I lived or whatever, or where I live, and where I reported people in my attic. But once again, I don't know if that's related to the people here at 612, the neighbor. of where people reported in the attic. You know, I just thought it was interesting when I went and looked, and I thought, oh, look there, look at all mutual friends, and they're mutual friends that never share my story, you know, which I suspect that know something. Okay, here's the next home at 3805 Melody Lane. I don't have a police scanner call on this, and mainly because I wasn't creating them back then. But what I was doing was emailing myself. So this is a time-stamped email. It goes, you know, I mean, I can go to my email and pull it up, and I wrote myself. I sent myself email, so it gives me a timestamped document, journal, whatever. And I said on the scanner this morning, so that means there was a police scanner, you know, that we could look at police records and find this call. On the scanner this morning, I heard a call about a homeowner that had found their front door open and their attic door open, okay? And I was writing myself, it sounds very familiar to me with home intruders going into my attic. The address was 3805 Melody Lane, Odessa, Texas, and I think I'd already looked it up, and I figured out it was owned by William or Bill Taylor, okay? And so let's look at EctorCAD, because we're all in Odessa again. Here's the appraisal district, and it's owned by WLT Properties, okay? And there's an address where they're at. And so I do think this is probably rental, because that's a property company, and I think WLT is William L. Taylor, okay, or Bill Taylor, okay, and so and had it since 2014, and so that and of course that's the crime victims. The renter, I guess, had probably called and reported somebody in the attic. Maybe Bill Taylor knows something. I don't know. Okay, here's one of the neighbors. Okay, Brittany, Nicole, and Tomsa Philip DeMoro. Okay. And they have a separate or that's their only address, so they must live there. Okay, but he own a home where somebody reported some in the attic, and there's homes all over the place that have reported the same thing. Okay, the directors and office, you know, the owners of WLT Properties LLC are Kelly Fletcher and William Taylor, Bill Taylor. Okay, and so you can see the where I just googled that, open corporates or whatever. Okay. Here's a Facebook, Bill Taylor right there. I went and found it, and I knew it was him because I found Kelly Fletcher down there in his friends list, right? And she's one of the other owners, directors, or whatever of that company. And so there's Kelly Fletcher, and if she don't know, and then I have a feeling somebody will tell her, WLT Properties right there, that she owns a property that the owner reported some in the attic, and these crimes are going on all over the place, okay? Jerry Mitchell, remember that was one of the neighbors, and he that later sold the home or whatever, but I found him at D&D Photo, you know, and that's interesting. There was just a recent Facebook post where a guy was arrested for putting cameras and filming somebody inside of a private home, and I wrote on Facebook that the ex-wife told me in 2011 that micro cameras were installed inside my home, as well as a trap door, and that was before I was shot. Okay. I googled, Pavlicek, and that was a neighbor's that was listed as one of the neighbors at the home where they reported something in the attic. And, I thought this was interesting. Rest in peace, Otto, whatever. But I thought it was interesting. Otto was a master mason, so I thought that part was interesting. And his son was Ricky Randall Pavlicek, and the wife Dee Dee of Odessa. And that was the name, Dee Dee Pavlicek. Okay, so I guess her father-in-law was a master mason, And I've had people suggest that the masons, there were some masons involved in these crimes. Okay, this one I threw in on the end. This is the fourth home. Okay, and here this is a recent Facebook post, private message from me, and I'm not going to name this guy. Okay, and because he was a renter, and he's telling me about his house. He's hearing somebody in the house, in the attic, etc. And he gives me the address, 9827 University. He tells me it's a company house, and I've worked here before and lived here 3 months prior before I left with other people, and then I recently moved back to Odessa. I've been living here for about 2 months, so total 5 months. He's telling me how long he's been in this house, but he's hearing somebody in this house, and I had an address. So I just did an investigation, an attic investigation. Okay, the owner of that home is AN Finance. Okay, and that's a business, and I think they own a lot of homes there. It's on Clements, and the target home where they reported, somebody's reported in the attic, 9827 University, and it looked like 2017 AN Finance was the last deed date on it. Okay, the two neighbors. 9825 here. Okay, we got Jesus Olivas. Okay, and 1208 Golder is their owner information and the property. So that's very possibly rental property. Okay, and look at the dates on 2001 was on the deed history, and the other neighbor on the other side was Guadalupe Molina, okay? And once again, they have a different address on 20th Street, so that's probably rental property again, and a 2015 date on it. I'm going to go to Google Maps. We're going to look at the block view. This is the target home, the home where they reported somebody in the attic, and here's the nearby homes. It's going to be a lot easier to see on the satellite map, which I got next. Okay, and here it is. Here's the target home right here. And here's 9825, and this was 9833. And now when you click on them on Google Maps, it tells you the address, and that's where I got the address. And one thing I went and I showed this guy that was contacting me, I'm going, looks like maybe a ditch was cut right here, looked like covered up or whatever. I don't know that, but, something was right here. Doesn't it look like a line going maybe from over here to over there? And that's what I'm saying, that, that's how they rig a home. They come underneath it, modify a wall, and get up in the attic. Of course, when you're not home, they have your whole house. But basically, they're going under it and coming up a wall. And so it goes to another home. That way, they can drive up here, and they can go down, under, over, and up. And they can sleep here, stay there, whatever, break apart your air conditioning system, free heating, cooling, electricity. It's like a free motel room for life, And all they got to do is pay off some secret police and murder a few homeowners. Okay. And here we go. This is a street view of the house on University, okay? And so it's the target house is the one in the back, that trailer house in the back, it looks like. And here's the two neighbors, this neighbor and that neighbor, okay? And then this is interesting because I looked up the owner of that home, okay? And I found a CBS 7 news story called Special Report, a Family's Warning for New Home Buyers, and the video was mysteriously removed. And it's not the first time I've seen CBS 7 delete news stories that I was investigating. And so I don't know if that's a technical glitch or if that was intentional. And so I just don't know. But here it is right here. This is live on the internet right now. Special Report, a Family's Warning for New Home Buyers. And so you can go look this up yourself. That's the name of the article. It's on, just Google it, whatever. And what I want to show you here, because I marked up some of these, this is that news story. I took some, I redlined it. And here, this one here was the owner was talking about by the end of the 30 years of the home, that's what they had a 30-year loan, we would have paid $1 million. That's what the owner said. I thought that was interesting. Okay. And then this is the same article, okay, that's on the internet right now. And it turns out that Samantha and her husband's loan was upside down, meaning they owed more than what their home was worth. AN Finance, that's who owns that home, okay, the target home, charged them $250,000 for their home when it was really only valued at $171,000 after the Mays had it appraised. That's a $43,000 difference. So they couldn't refinance because they were upside down on their loan, right? And so basically they had no choice but to let it go back. Okay. And here's CBS 7. After some digging, we found out that the Mays aren't the only ones who were overcharged on their home. We come across a dozen more families stuck in the same situation. From January 2015 up to July 2016, AN Finance has foreclosed on over 80 homes. Of the 76 properties owner Angel Navarrete Sr. is listed to have in Ector County, we found that on at least 18 of them, he sold the home to a buyer who owned the home typically no longer than 2 or 3 years before it was foreclosed and back in the name of AN Finance, And it would be really interesting if those were rigged homes where the owners were being terrorized by somebody in the attic, because that would be a money maker, right? Don't you? Can you see that? And I'm not making any accusations. I'm just throwing out some facts, that I read on the internet. You can find it here. It says several people in the real estate industry refer to these type of businesses as predatory lenders, but a recent investigation at AN Finance found they're not doing anything illegal unless they're connected with rigging private homes with hidden access and terrorizing owners where they sold it to. And so I thought y'all would find this super interesting. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Share this with your friends. I also have a playlist on on my YouTube channel, and here I just search for attic investigation, and that one's a real popular video, had over 600 views already, still going in Carlsbad. And here's another one on Providence, on Haynes, and this one is the playlist, and that's what I want to show you. Go to playlist, and I just created this playlist, and you go into attic investigations, and I put all of these videos of this video series in here so you can watch them one right after the other. There's the playlist over here, and each one of them are the attic investigation videos. And so these are only the ones that I happened to find out about after I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going on my attic. This is widespread racketeering and crime. This has to be stopped. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.